If you've managed social media for any brand, you know this problem, right? You have one campaign idea, one solid insight, one angle that you think that probably works the best, and you need a real script. Then you need an Instagram carousel out of it. Then you need an Instagram caption. Then you want a LinkedIn post and maybe something to post on YouTube. Well, very different formats, very different tones, very different length constraints. And by the time that you write your first reel, then you have to rewrite it for a carousel, then you have to rewrite it again for LinkedIn. And by probably the sixth or the fifth version, you've spent 2 hours on content that just started off as one idea. That rewriting loop is actually not a creativity problem, right? The idea is fine in itself. The campaign problem statement that you're trying to solve is also fine in itself. But what changes across platforms isn't the actual insight part, it's the format, the reading context, the tone of something that's been written. That's a production problem, and production problems are exactly what skills are built for. So today's episode covers the full social media manager workflow. So we're going to cover two skills and we're going to create both of them from scratch for Orenda, the skincare brand that we've been covering across all our different videos in this series. We're going to pick up one campaign topic. It's going to be the same campaign brief from last time, start to finish. And you're going to see a real script and platform native captions for Instagram and LinkedIn come out of it in a single session. So let's get one idea in and 3 to 4 assets out of it. Let's do it. Okay, before the demo, I just want to spend about 2 minutes on why generating captions in a plain Claude chat isn't going to solve this. So when you ask Claude, right, with no skill, just in a standard chat, to write you an Instagram caption and maybe also look at a LinkedIn caption for the same topic, what you get back actually is just the same copy but applicable in just two different wrappers. So instead of having entirely different things that the same text can focus on, it just basically says, let me change the language and hope that it works for both the platforms, right? So it uses the same sentence structure, the same tone. It's roughly the same length with a few words trimmed here and there. And Claude doesn't know by default that Instagram and LinkedIn are actually read completely differently. Because we all know that Instagram is a platform where everything is a bit casual, but on LinkedIn, you have to be much more professional in nature, right? So that's the difference. So Instagram is probably for somebody who's just scrolling, right? The thumb is moving and you have about half a second to stop it. The caption that works there would probably be something that's short, right? And that's very specific, right? A statement that creates maybe a jolt of recognition or curiosity before they even decide whether they want to keep reading or not. And then it earns the rest of the post. Now, on LinkedIn, it's the other way around. The person reading it has paused because they actually want to read the post. They're in a professional mindset. They're reading it for the relevance part, and they'll give you 2 or 3 sentences before they decide whether they want to continue reading or whether they want to discard it. Now, the post that works here probably opens well with an insight and not the hook. So it assumes slightly more patience and slightly more context. So it's the same idea with completely different opening moves, and that's the difference. So, which platform content writers develop an instinct for over the years is what the caption generator skill is going to be trained on. So it just doesn't reformat the copy, it actually rewrites the reading context of it. And we are going to do that for Instagram, LinkedIn, X, because this has again a character limit of about 270 characters, right? If you don't have the premium, and more if you do have the premium version, and YouTube. Let's say you are posting one video across Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. How is the caption going to vary then? That's also something that we're going to look at. So let me show this to you and let's get right into it. All right, folks. So let's begin with actually creating a skill for a real script generator. Now, this is going to be a real script generator that can also work for YouTube Shorts. So basically, I have two aims. One, taking an idea. So it takes an idea and generates two scripts. One, I'm going to say YouTube Shorts, and one for, let's say, Instagram Reels, right? The focus should be on generating scripts in a hook content CTA style. So I've given it a style as well. So I have a hook, then I have the content, then I have the CTA style for Orenda skincare. Okay. I am attaching a brief of a campaign that we did some time ago. Please take a look and then ask me clarifying questions for the same. So now it's going to ask me clarifying questions as well. I'm going to quickly change to Sonnet so that it does better thinking. And then we're going to go here, give it more options. And within 5 minutes approximately, I am going to... Oh, silly me, I forgot to actually attach the Orenda brief. So it's going to say, seems like you haven't uploaded the file. Yeah, that's all right. So we have uploaded the file now. I've added the Orenda skincare brief as well. It's a solid Diwali campaign. So now it's going to ask me some questions. So you see that the questions it's asking me are very specific. So instead of asking these questions like this, I will like, ask me in MCQs where I can select. Because I'm lazy, I do not want to type anymore. I can even ask it to ask me in an MCQ format where I can just directly select. So now it's going to ask me in my questions in a MCQ format. That's an interactive artifact that comes out of it. So what's my brand voice? So while this is generating, let's just wait while it's going on. Okay, so it's asking me questions now about, so it's generated all the questions, right? And let's quickly pick these out. So what is Orenda's brand voice? Let's say it is more aspirational and premium. Kind of script lengths I'm targeting, YouTube Shorts is going to be 30 seconds, Instagram Reels are going to be 15 seconds. What CTA drives view? What should the CTA drive to view? I'm going to say shop for links and maybe also visit our website, right? And save the video because that generates engagement. Let's say I am going for CTA differ between, yes, they do differ per platform. Which product should the script cover? Let's say skill asks user each time. Name products mentioned in the script. Maybe, let's make that answer. Hook style. Should the skill default to? Question based, bold statement, generate all three, and maybe let me pick one. Should YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels feel totally different? Yes. Yes, that is true. Any claims that are off limits? No competitor mentions. Let's say I want to say stuff like anti-aging because that's too much in the market. And also I want to make no medical claims, right? Because legality problems. Now all of that gets filled into it, and now the skill creator skill is going to understand how to build a proper skill, and it's going to build me a real script skill. Now I did this specifically for Orenda using a campaign brief that I had used in my previous videos. But what you can do is you can make one for your own brand, the brand that you are looking at, or you could make it campaign specific by saying that Every time I add a campaign brief or I attach a campaign brief with the idea of I want to make a reel, hey, give me, invoke this skill that gives me an overall line and structure of what can be done. So now it is creating that reel script generator. So if you see, it's writing the entire markdown here. And I'm going to quickly wait for it to be done so that I can show this to you. And then I'll save this as well and I will invoke it and show you how exactly it works. So let's take a moment till it's done and then I'll quickly show you. See, now it's going to create a brand voice reference file as well because we have given the brand voice here to be aspirational and premium. So it's going to say everything of that sort. And if you see, it's actually picking the from the campaign that I had put because that campaign was about Diwali. So if you see Diwali ready bridal season of celebration the night before everything, it's also using like festival and occasional language if festivities are there, right? So the campaign positioning skin that celebrates extends across all festivals and occasion. This is not a Diwali lens. So it's giving an entire thing. Now it's a 500 line, so it's going to do a test prompt and it's given me a test prompt as well. Check the line count of the skill, which is fine. And now it's asking me to simulate something and it's given an entire thing. So it's doing it, it's packaged the skill and it's given it to me. So now the only thing that's left to do for me is to save this skill. It's also telling me here's what all there is. And let's say I go save the skill. So now this skill is saved. And if you go to my manage skills, I have a lot of skills from what I actually do. But here you can see Orenda reel script. Here the entire skill lives here and you can see revisions, whatever, different things of collecting inputs is here. So now let's quickly go back to the panel and see how we can invoke the skill and utilize it. All right, folks. So let's quickly invoke the skill. If I put a slash, you see all my skills here. But the one I'm trying to show you is the Orenda reel script. And now I'm just going to invoke it. I'm not even going to give it any context. Just call on that skill. And now it's going to read the reel script skill and it's going to ask me some questions. So let me collect inputs as specified. So it's now going to ask me questions and it's going to take inputs. So here we go. Let's say, what's the idea or topic for this script? Let's see. I want to go for a daily skincare ritual. And maybe this is, here is the point where I can tell the product. So let's say I want to keep it general, right? The hook should be a relatable scenario. And let's see what it writes for us. Most probably is going to write something that is going to be pretty good. So here are the two scripts for the YouTube shorts. That's going to be 30 seconds. Some mornings you rush through it, cleanser, something out the door. But a ritual, even 5 minutes, works differently when the ingredients are doing what they're supposed to. Saffron and rose do not need 12 steps, they need consistency. Your skin responds to what you give it every single day, not just the night before something matters. So build yours, explore the full range at the link in bio. Right? The next one is a 15-second. 2 minutes every morning, the same ones every time. That is what your skin remembers, not not the one night you went all out, the ritual. Save this for the morning you decide to start. Save. Right? So that's the kind of CTA. Now, let's say I want to tweak this to be a little bit more better. How would I do that? So on GitHub exists a Humaniser skill. That's what I'm going to use and something that I referred to in my last video. This is Blader's Humaniser. And I'm going to say humanize these so that they feel like it's butter flowing through. So, what does butter flowing through here mean? Basically, I want it to glide smoothly the way that I'm speaking. So, that's why butter flowing. This is sometimes you write things like this so that it appears more conversational. So, all right. Hook. Most mornings it's barely a routine, cleanser and whatever, closets and out. The thing about saffron and rose is they don't ask for more time, they ask for the same time every day. 5 minutes done with the intention beats 30 done in a hurry once a week. Your skin is quieter than you think, it notices the pattern before you do. So it's actually telling me what it is, and now it's given me the script, right? They need the same time. 5 minutes done daily does more than 30 months. These ingredients work through repetition, not the intensity. Your skin catches. So now you have, you see, the natural breathing area and the breathing space. So now you understand how you can generate real scripts. This is again, I've done it very, I would say, watered down version of it. The one that we actually use at Upskill Nexus is my reel script generator. This is very extensive. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how extensive you can develop this to be. So now this is going to ask me the domains that I want, the information that I require, that it requires to generate a skill. And if you see, it has 6 kind of questions that I have input. So you can make it as extensive as you'd like. Now, this was the reel script generator. The next one that we're going to cover is the caption generator. So let me quickly walk through that one as well. All right, folks. So the next one is going to be a caption generator. So now what we're going to do is that we had created our reel script, right? The reel script that we created was very dumbed down. So I will create or utilize a reel script that I already have generated. So let me just quickly go to Orenda's reel script generator and say, write me a 100-word reel script on turmeric and its uses for skin care, right? So now I'm going to get a reel script out of it, and this is the workflow that I want to use. So let's say I have my reel script at hand, right? Then I want my skill that I'm going to develop for the caption generator to take this reel script and write captions based on the reel script that is provided. So the first step is writing the reel script or generating the reel script in itself. So let's quickly do that. And now they're going to quickly do it. So it's going to ask me some questions about my hook style and etc. So let's say I'm going to say something like 2 days before a wedding and your skin looks exhausted. And this is going to give me a 100-word one. So this is again 72 words, 34 words. So if let's say, let's just, for the sake of time, let's quickly just utilize this one. I am not going to show you how to basically fix this. I just showed you a workflow and I want you to implement this for your particular, let's say, use case. So now I'm going to write, all right, so I'm going to dictate. Based on a reel script that is provided to you, I want you to create captions for LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube based on Orenda skincare. All right, so sometimes it does not get the accent, which is fine. So I'm just going to quickly correct some of this. Reel script that is provided to you. I want you to create captions for. Now, I am going to show you how this will do it when it does not have see, right now I already have a caption generator skill, right? So it's actually just invoking that skill and utilizing it. So I have already specified, so I can get straight into the generation. Now I had this already inbuilt, but I am going to now show you the process of building this skill in itself, right? So let's get on with it. Okay, let's write, help me create a caption generator skill that takes in a script and makes captions out of it. Here is your test case. So I'm going to give it the test case and platforms X, LinkedIn, and let's say YouTube and Instagram. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly wait. It's going to read and it's going to generate one, right? It's going to maybe ask me a couple of questions the same way that it was before. And because I already have an existing caption generator, so now it's going to evaluate it, right? And going to write one. So the core message extractions, it's done. And now it's written one based on the one that I already have. So what does this tell you? If you already have a caption generator skill like I do, it is just going to refer to that again. I deliberately decided to show you whether or not you require a skill every time. But this is what it says. Now, a few honest notes on the skill itself before you decide whether to update it or not. The existing skill is solid, right? But the brand voice is generic because it actually works for Upskill Nexus and not for Orenda, right? The ask platform step conflicts with your workflow and there is no guidance or CTA, right? So all of this improvements, no, I do not want to improve this. So I will just say I am happy with the current output. Or I can just leave it at that, right? Because I don't want to actually update it. But you see that you can create a caption generator skill like this. But you know what's an additional thing that I did not initially think of that I would like to cover in this video is actually turning a reel script into a carousel. Now, there might be times that you have a lot of reel scripts running in, right? And you want to turn it into a carousel. So how do you do it? So I'm going to quickly write, help me create a skill that takes a real script in and converts it into a carousel. So now this is what I'm going to do. Let's see how this is going to be. So now it's going to read the skill creator skill and mayhaps take everything that is given to me and is going to also read my carousel content generator skill. So I have two skills, one for the reel script and the other for carousel. So it's comparing both of them, right? And it's also seeing that what this particular skill needs to do that's going to be distinct from my existing carousel content creator skill. Now you see the way that I have decided to structure my entire social media content aspect is to do with the modality that I'm trying to, um, use to put my ideas in front. So you have to think of it in that way and have that workflow in your head and how you're going to make it. So let's quickly just pause and take a moment till it's generating and then we'll get right back. All right, folks. So now we have the entire reel to carousel skill MD broken down. So what it does is it takes the core insight from, let's say, the reel script that is linear into a carousel, which is a self-contained unit. The skill just doesn't copy paste. It actually does structural decomposition. It breaks the script into parts and then maps those slide boundaries. Okay. So now I'm going to save this skill because this is a skill that I can also utilize. So how about this? Let's actually invoke this and try this out with the brief that we have. So this is the thing, and let's say reel to carousel. Enter. So now I'm going to quickly see what's going to happen, and most probably the reel to carousel skill is going to actually build the carousel. Now I did not specify the output in which the carousel needs to come out, but usually the carousel comes out in the format of either content. So what it's done is it's actually taken the content and it's given me what kind of hues my designer requires to take into consideration and what kind of things I need to give to Gemini to create using Nano Banana model images. So it's given me prompts for both, and that's brilliant. One I like for LinkedIn because the LinkedIn version is actually in the form of a PDF. On the other hand, the Instagram version actually is for, let's say, in the form of an HTML or in the form of PNG images. Now, it gives each and everything, right? So, if you see, this is what it is. And one thing I like to do is find the factual claims, because sometimes when you're claiming something, AI can hallucinate, right? If you see here, it's written AI can make mistakes, please double check responses. So, what does that even mean? It basically means that Claude can provide misleading or incorrect responses sometimes. So, you should always double check it. And the way I do that is that I tell Claude in itself to fact check whatever it says by pasting the final version back, and it fact checks each and everything that it's saying. Alright, so this is how you can create a carousel, a reel to carousel skill, and a carousel with existing content. Now, this thing is not just for converting reels to carousels. You can actually do carousel to reel. You can do full-fledged blogs to podcast scripts to whatever content is in your head and whatever content you would like to translate. So in here, I've showed you three things. One, a reel script generator. Second, a caption generator. And a reel script to carousel generator. Now, here's how all of this will map into a real workflow, right? So most social teams work usually with a weekly content calendar, something that we do here as well, right? So we look at 3 posts a week, maybe more across 2 or 3 platforms, depending on production time and strategy and how I want to go about it, right? But the production time for that isn't usually the strategy part. It's actually the writing, the reformatting. It's the hour that you spend turning one good idea into 3 platforms pieces of content, right? So what this workflow does is it compresses the production time. So one session per campaign topic, you script it out, you get the captions out into the calendar. For a team publishing consistently across, let's say, Instagram and LinkedIn, this replaces most of the weekly content production time, right? So there's no strategic thinking that's involved, there's no scheduling, there's no community management, but the writing and the reformatting grind gets automatically taken care by Claude. The strategic layer still stays yours. So which topics to cover, what angle is right this week, what's timely for the audience, what fits the brand's current priorities. That's the judgment, and that's the judgment that cannot get automated, and that's something that you will have to make as a social media manager. But what the skill absorbs is the production work that sits between having a good idea and having a post that's ready to schedule. So practical action probably for this week, I would recommend is take one topic you've already posted about recently, run it through both the skills fresh and compare what comes out to what you actually published. And that comparison, seeing where the skill matches your instincts and where it misses your brand voice, will actually tell you more about how to use these tools than watching me demo them. So, question for the comments before I go and close for today is, which platform do you find hardest to write native content for? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn, or somewhere else entirely? And what specifically makes it hard? Is it the tone, the format constraint, something about how your brand voice doesn't translate there? I am asking because brand voice alignment across platforms is something that I want to go deeper on later in this series. And understanding what the friction actually is will shape what that looks like. So, next episode is going to be for marketing managers. We're going to look at how to get a brief. We're going to use the same Orenda brief from here to a deck. We're going to look at data to tracker, how you can create and use the PowerPoint and the XLS workflow skills in the episode 5. So, episode 5, once it's out, the link will be in the description. So, do check it out and see you in the next one. Bye bye, and don't forget to subscribe to us.